All right, we're about to dive into one of the most misunderstood and honestly most amazing kingdoms of life on our planet, fungi. They are killers, they are creators, and they're the silent architects of our world. But to really get it, we have to look a little deeper, right under our feet.
So when you hear the word fungi, what pops into your head? Is it a bit of mold growing in a corner, or maybe the mushrooms on your pizza? Yeah, for most of us, that's pretty much the whole picture. But that's like judging a massive iceberg by just the tiny bit you see sticking out of the water.
Because that is barely scratching the surface. The truth is, fungi are an absolute force of nature. They're killers, they're creators, and they are the hidden foundation that makes our entire world possible.
So, before we get to all the exciting stuff, the killers and the creators, we kind of need to get the basics down. What exactly makes a fungus a fungus?
Well, for starters, fungi have their very own biological kingdom. Just like us animals, they're eukaryotes, which is just a sciencey way of saying their cells have a proper nucleus. But the real key difference is in their cell walls. They're made of this tough stuff called chitin, which, get this, is the exact same material you find in the exoskeletons of insects. Wild, right?
And here's something that might really surprise you. Genetically, fungi are actually more closely related to us, to animals, than they are to plants. We both branched off from a common ancestor more recently. You know, think about it like this. Both we and fungi store our energy as glycogen, while plants use starch. So that mushroom on your plate, evolutionarily speaking, it's a very, very distant cousin.
The sheer diversity in this kingdom is just staggering. It goes all the way from tiny single-celled yeasts, the microscopic little workhorses that give us bread and beer, to these vast, sprawling organisms whose underground networks, their mycelium, can stretch for miles, forming a hidden web right beneath the forest floor.
Okay, so now that we know what they are, let's get into what they do. And this is where things get really wild. Some fungi are deadly killers and microscopic hunters, while others are indispensable partners for life itself.
Some fungi are incredibly dangerous pathogens. A perfect and pretty terrifying example is the chytrid fungus. It causes this devastating skin disease in amphibians that essentially stops them from being able to regulate water and electrolytes through their skin properly.
And the scale of this devastation is it's hard to overstate. This one single fungal pathogen has been linked to population declines in over 500 amphibian species around the world. Of those, at least 90 are now thought to be completely extinct.
And this isn't some problem happening far away. Right here in Australia, the fungus has led to the decline of at least 43 species. In Queensland alone, amazing creatures like the northern gastric brooding frog and the sharp-snouted day frog are now believed to be entirely gone because of it.
But fungi aren't just these passive pathogens. Some of them are active predators. And this is where things get truly bizarre. Yes, there are carnivorous fungi. In the soil right beneath our feet, they are actively hunting and eating microscopic roundworms called nematodes.
So, how does a fungus hunt? Well, it's incredibly sophisticated. First, it lures its prey in using chemical scents. Then, it springs a trap. Some species form these tiny rings that actually tighten around the worm, while others use sticky nets or glues. And finally, they release toxins to paralyze their prey before they digest it. It's a microscopic ambush predator, hidden in the soil. Okay, so from killers and hunters, let's flip the coin. Because for all the destruction some fungi cause, they are also the planet's most vital creators and recyclers. They form this vast, hidden network that literally sustains life. I mean, think about this. Without fungi, our planet would be buried under mountains of dead plants and animals. They are nature's master recyclers. They release these powerful enzymes that can break down even the toughest wood, unlocking vital nutrients and putting them back into the soil so new life can begin.
But fungi don't just break down the old. They're absolutely essential for building the new. In fact, an incredible 90% of Australia's native plants literally cannot survive without them. They rely on this deep, symbiotic partnership that's all happening just below the surface.
This partnership is built around something called mycorrhizal fungi, which literally just means root fungus. These fungi connect directly with the plant's roots and act like a massive extension cord. They can go out and find water and nutrients that the plant could never reach, and in return, the plant gives the fungus energy in the form of sugars it makes from photosynthesis. It's a perfect deal.
And this partnership is everywhere. Most Australian forest trees, delicate native orchids, and heaths all depend on this fungal network. But what's so fascinating is that some of our most iconic plants, like Banksias and Grevilleas, have evolved to go it alone. They've developed their own strategies to find nutrients without any fungal help. So we've got plants and fungi working together, but this network has another crucial player. The connection doesn't just stop with plants, it extends deep into the animal kingdom.
For countless animals, fungi aren't just underground partners. They're a vital food source. This whole act of eating fungi is called mycophagy, and it's a critical link in the entire food web.
And Australia has a ton of these fungal specialists. While animals like possums and gliders will definitely snack on them, for creatures like the patoru, the betentong, and the bilby, fungi aren't just a treat, they are a cornerstone of their diet, an absolutely essential source of food. In total, more than 30 mammal species in Australia depend on fungi for their survival. But this isn't a one-way street. The animals get a meal, but the fungi get something just as valuable in return. And this is where the entire system connects. So as these mycophagists, these fungus eaters, forage for their food, often at night, they're covering huge distances through the forest.
And here's the brilliant part. As they travel, they disperse fungal spores in their droppings. They are planting the very fungal network that the entire forest depends on. So the animals need the fungi to eat, and the fungi need the animals to spread. It is a perfect, self-sustaining loop.
So fungi are so much more than just mold or mushrooms. They're a hidden kingdom of hunters, recyclers, and partners, weaving this complex web that connects our entire ecosystem. It really makes you wonder, what other invisible networks are out there, shaping our world right under our feet?